Welcome back, and we are going to start off from where we left on, which was on the topic of games and hobbies. So I would like to ask you, what type of games do you enjoy playing, and the games that you have enjoyed with your family?
Well, I enjoy a lot, but what type of games do you enjoy?
I enjoy various games. However, I do not get the time for games. Due to the loads of schoolwork that I have, I obviously don't get time for myself. But my hobbies, I can tell you, are I really love playing the instruments, playing the music. In my spare time, if I do get spare time, I love to read. Reading is my passion. I love reading, I love writing. So what about the games that you enjoy?
I enjoy playing Monopoly, Ludo, like cards that have multiplication or some type of numbers that we can add, divide, subtract, multiplication.
So I want to ask you, how often have you played these games with your family instead of individually?
In my family, I've mostly played with my siblings, like whenever it's like when I have spare time and my siblings are like don't have anything to do, I rather just ask like, do you want to play a game? And if they say, of course, I have spare time, I can enjoy time with you.
And mostly, do your siblings get the time to play the games with you?
Well, my older sister does not get any time, but my other sister, she does.
Right. So coming back, obviously, as the levels increase, as you get into higher grades, you don't have that time to spend with your family. So parents could be present in all their kids' games, recitals, or any other activity, but they may not be necessarily spending the quality time that is needed in order to understand their child, or even listen to them, joke around with them, and eat dinner. So another issue is that children in the earlier days behave like children through the genuine thirst that they had for knowledge, which they gained through the use of games and typically by self-discovery. Parental pressure obviously was not about, the burden of getting a job with a big company with a big paycheck. Then again, this is all different in today's time, for childhood has given a distinct meaning, such as being the smartest or attending tuition classes for improving grades, hobby classes, going to the gym, all to meet the increasing expectation of their parents. So I also want to address the fact that competition has now multiplied for kids, and what is concerning is that parents push their children to their limits without considering their child's skills and capabilities. So instead of giving motivation to that skill, most parents would tend to have their children achieve what they themselves couldn't achieve in the past. This causes mental stress and trauma for the children. And by the looks of it, in the name of competition, I think that parents are raising children that are under a lot of pressure through the loads of work, stress along with the parental expectations. So I just want to educate the parents on some of the effects of academic parental pressure on kids and guide them on how they can prevent these effects from occurring. So we know that for parents, there are a few pleasures greater than their child succeeding in school. However, if they're putting so much pressure on their children to do well academically, then it can backfire severely and end up affecting them negatively in a number of different ways. First of all, by having a parent lay pressure on them to succeed, a child can feel less inspired and more threatened. They will be so paralyzed by the fear of not doing good, and they won't actually learn and succeed like they otherwise would have. So, plus if they have the feeling of anxiety, they're less likely to know what is culprit or what is wrong. It is possible that they will place further blame for their bad feelings on themselves for not being the smartest, therefore causing more stress and anxiety to happen. If your child expresses any worrisome signs of stress pertaining to the schoolwork, you need to speak to them about how they're feeling and help them to feel better through reassurance. Secondly, if you're determined about your child matching the expectations that you have set for them in school, then they're likely to have a difficult time coping. Even if they miss the mark by just a little bit, they'll believe that success really is based on perfection, and if they can't accomplish that, they might as well just give up. So if your child feels inadequate due to not achieving a certain grade, let them know that you're there for them, and that a grade really doesn't determine whether or not they're a good person or whether or not they're intelligent. Most importantly, too much pressure to do well in school can cause kids to do wrong things. So for instance, a child who has been told that they have to get straight A's on their report cards, and they could feel pressurized and end up cheating on their test examinations just to fulfill that obligation. So research has shown that a lot of children nowadays would turn to drugs in order to deal with the stress. And I would suggest that you keep a close eye on your children if they are showing any signs of seeming, especially stressed out by school, and talk to them if they have any questions or concerns. And lastly, if you want to help your child to do well in school, you need to encourage them rather than pressurizing them. So by offering encouragement through the means such as assisting them with the schoolwork and discussing different ideas and concepts, you can help spark inspiration in your child. If you believe you might be putting too much pressure on your child to succeed academically, don't beat yourself up. So instead, just take a moment to speak with your child openly about how they don't need to stress themselves out about school. You want them to succeed, which is why you are pressurizing them in the first place. However, if you put too much pressure on them, then they won't have the success that you are actually looking for. So I just want to turn back to our guests here and ask them, what message would you really give to your parents?
Well, the message I want to give to my parents is that if they want their child to succeed, they have to calm down. Tell them that if you want to succeed, just take a break of it and think about it. Like, if you don't understand something, I'm always here for you. You could always ask me. There are teachers at school. You could ask them. You don't ever have to feel scared.
Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up with a message for the parents as well. I know parents, we know that you love your children and want to do anything to make them succeed. So remember to always encourage your kids, support them, and never to stress them to the point where they become burnt out. Understand what your kid wants. Respect their passion and ensure that you help them through the right and the wrong. And that wraps up our topic for today on parental pressure. Thank you very much. I'm Shifa Shabazz.